Womp womp. I want to thank everybody for coming to another one of my Sword of Convallaria videos. This video is going to be pertaining to the closed beta test that's going to be happening today, which you can catch me on streaming with www.twitch.tv/evilplayed. And what we're going to do is we're going to tackle two questions that I think are very important questions for people, because a lot of folks don't know what exactly this game is and what kind of gameplay they're going to get. So I kind of want to tackle those in like a nice little quick little short form that involves, you know, some little slides that I made. And I won't even call them slides really, it's just something that I just cooked up. But with that being said, let's kind of go ahead and go into that first of the questions, because I really just want to get this information out so that I can kind of explain to you what you're going to get. And these are questions that the actual developers have answered themselves. This is not really something that I have come up with, nor is it anything that's coming from first-hand experience. So right now we're looking at this at a complete objective point of view, because I wanted to know what I'm in store for. Like, these are the things that they kind of promised us, and I'm hoping to see some of these things in the closed beta today, and I'm hoping to see some of these things proven. And I already know some of them aren't going to be showed, but I still want to just hold them accountable for what they've said and hold them accountable for the things that were promised. So let's just go ahead and go into that. Let's go and take a look at the first question, okay? All right, so the very first question is, what are the distinctive features of Sword Convallaria? What kind of separates it different from other games that it's going to kind of be competing with in this gacha space? Well, for starters, just the way that the game looks itself. One of the things that they pride themselves on is the neo-pixel technology, which is, in layman's terms, it's basically pixel art with dynamic lighting that gives the pixels more life. It makes them look more, you get really good contours, deep, you know, you get really good blacks and shading, so that just makes them improve, makes them blend in with their background. And I've seen it in hand. Like, I've seen some games that have tried to do it poorly, but I've looked at Sword of Convallaria specifically, and I liked it a lot. I thought that it looked great, and the style and feel of it just gives me that nostalgia, but still newer. So I think that they've really nailed that right in the head. I think they've done a really good job on that so far. So Sword of Convallaria is a strategic tactical RPG. So it's not like games like, what's it called? Arknights, which is a tower defense. It's more games like Tactics Ogre, Final Fantasy Tactics, Triangle Strategy, Fire Emblem. These are games where you have units and you go through these maps on a turn-based style gameplay, and it allows you to strategically beat the characters that are on the maps. And if you ever play games like this, they kind of get a little bit harder and harder as it progresses, but the big difference between the two, which is Sword of Convallaria and the games that came before it, is that those games you can kind of just take your characters, grind them, you can kind of level them up, and then you can kind of breeze through stuff. I do believe that since Sword of Convallaria is going to be a gacha game, it's going to be a mobile and a PC game, I do believe that there's going to be certain limits that you can do. I don't know what they are yet. But this is just things that is coming to the top of my head, that I feel like there's going to be certain stuff that you can actually do to increase your characters, and you can only do it so much because of, you know, like energy systems or resources, things of that nature. But basically, you're going to do is you're going to be assembling your Voyagers. And there was also, like, each of these characters that you're going to be assembling, they kind of have their own skill sets, and you're going to be kind of leveling up the characters the path that you want to do. So it kind of gives you a diversity. So if you have one character that's an archer, and then one of your friends has another character that's an archer, you can technically build them separately, and you can build them up differently. This is kind of what they're hinting at, or what they're pushing at towards, that it gives you kind of like a diversity and character creation in a sense. But there'll probably be like a set amount of skills and points that each character can get with different paths, and you can try to decide which path that you want to go on. Which again, if that is the case, I'm feeling it, I'm loving it, and I think that's going to be really good. And of course, with tactical RPGs, you're going to have terrain and objects on those terrains that you can interact with. They've shown videos where an archer is shooting an arrow into a barrel and the barrel blows up, doing terrain damage. Mages casting fire on grass and then causing the grass to burn, so that anyone who's standing in that gets burn damage. So there's going to be a lot of interactive and interactions with the stages themselves, depending on what stage that you're going to be going and what characters that you have. You can knock characters off the map and then that can kill them. So if you were familiar with those type of games in the past, you're going to have that same kind of interactions, but enhanced better when Sword of Convallaria comes out. I've did and seen a little bit of the stuff as well. It's very nice. I like that kind of feel itself. I like that kind of gameplay, and I love that kind of dynamic immersion. And it's speaking of immersion, and honestly, this is the part that sold me the most. They have an immersive soundtrack. Now, I've listened to a lot of the songs, if not all the songs that are going to be coming out for the game, and they're all created by the legendary man himself, Hitoshi Sakimoto. If you're not familiar who he is, he's done the soundtracks to games like he's done the composer to games like Final Fantasy Tactics. He did also Valkyrie Chronicles. He did Vagrant Story, and his resume speaks for himself. And a lot of the games that I've played of it, that he's been the composer of, the music is so good. It really gets you invested in the story. It really gets you tangled into the game itself, and I think that he's nailed it with this game. I think the music that he composed for this game is so good. Everything that I've listened to was just very good. They're all just bangers to me, and it really gets you in that time era, in that period that the game is. It really gets you put into the story itself. Now, one of the things that I'm really interested in is the choice-based narrative. Sword of Convallaria tells you the developers of Sword of Convallaria XD tell us that when you're doing the main story, the single-player story mode, which we'll talk about later, that when you're doing that story mode, every choice that you make has a consequence. So there's multiple different branches of story that's going to be webbed and connected, so everything that you do is connected, so that you can get to a different ending, or you can progress through the story a different way. And I'm gonna be real, that was, for me, I love that. As a person who's been playing video games since, yay high, I've always thought about that. Well, what's the point of giving the main character to say yes or no when the outcome is going to be the same no matter what? And a lot of times I'll play games and then I will just, I'll just hit the choose the option, and it didn't really matter. It felt like all it was some dialogue and some text. I wasn't invested in it, which sucked. And I always thought to myself that if they ever came out with something that you can do that does make it so that your choices, if you say yes or no, matter, then that to me would always be a lot better, because I like if you're going to give me choices, I don't want the imagination, the fairy tale that I'm actually making a choice that matters, when I know that it doesn't. The story ending is going to be the same no matter what. So Sword of Convallaria tells us that they're going to give us a multiple different paths that we can take. And honestly, I can't wait to see that. I want to see how well that is going to kind of be written into the game itself. Now, I think I pretty much touched what Sword of Convallaria is. So let's kind of go to with the big question. The question that is Sword of Convallaria pay to win? So the developers tell us that the game offers a unique dual mode gameplay. The online elements with a single player campaign is kind of how they are promoting this. So with the single player, it's called the Spiral of Destinies. It's a roguelike strategic gameplay with multiple story branches emphasizing your story, your moves. This is what we were talking about. And then they say that it's nearly devoid of pay to win. Now, I feel like when they say that, they have to say that, because you can very well spend money in order to breeze through the story. I think that's going to be just a really damn stupid thing to do. I think that's not going to be smart at all, by spending money just to go through the story. But you don't have to. By saying that they're nearly devoid of pay to win, to me that just means that you can use any characters that you get to progress through the story, and you don't have to swipe your credit card for it, so you can go in for free to play. Now, the part that's very interesting to me is the online mode. So with the online mode, you engage in traditional online gameplay. So there'll probably be like events, maybe there'll be PvP, arena style, maybe there'll be guilds, things, raids, stuff like that. So they don't really say much about it yet. And I'm sure if you go to the CN and the TW sides, there's probably tons of things on there. I haven't looked at it. I don't know. Again, I'm going into this with fresh eyes, and I know that with the closed beta, they state that they're going to be able to play the online modes in the closed beta. So I'm excited to see what goes on with that. But they say that you get to bond with diverse characters through a gacha system and exploring deep stories. So that to me sounds like there's going to be characters, and then each character that you get is going to have a story mode for those characters. So it's going to give us more story in order to learn about those characters and understand them. It sounds like they might have a bonding or like a friendship system or something like that. But I can picture them having it so that the more times you use that character, they get bonded and maybe they get increased stats or abilities. Something like that is what I'm thinking. But they also say there's no mandatory payment required. So with gacha games, you know that there's going to be like currency in the game. Like Honkai Star Rail has Asterites, or is that Wuwa? No, I'm sorry. Honkai Star Rail has Stellar J's. Wuwa has Asterites and so forth. They're going to have that in the game so that you can kind of save those up, and then you can use them to pull for characters that you're really looking for, depending on what banners are up. I do believe sort of Convallaria does it where there's like 2 characters on each banner. I'm not double sure. I have to take a look and see how that works. But they're saying that there's no mandatory payment. And they also say that both modes will get constant updates, which again is huge, which means that the single player mode is going to get more story, and the online modes are going to get updates with more events and more things, and hopefully ways for us to get free to play, free gems in order for us to play through. And that's going to be the best thing in my opinion. And then they say freedom to choose by preference, which basically means just what it says. You can decide to be free to play, you can decide to be a dolphin, you can be a whale. It doesn't really matter. You can play the game how you want to play, and you're not going to miss out on any of the content. What does that mean for, because again, gacha games have things like power creeps and stuff like that, and we'll have to see. Again, this is a game that's different from those other games because of the content and the way the content is. I'm super excited, and I hope you guys are excited as well. Sorry, words are hard, but I hope you guys are excited as well. I can't wait to play this game. And again, you can catch me streaming tonight on the day of the release of the closed beta test. You can catch me streaming at 10:30 on twitch.tv/Evol Played. And I'm going to be dissecting and going through the game and just trying to figure out everything so that I can provide you guys with the best content possible. So with that being said, I hope to see you guys tonight. Take care. And also, again, don't forget, be like the thousands and thousands of other people that watch my content. Like, subscribe, and then just go ahead and just speak into the universe so that we can go in and enjoy this game just as much as I know I'm going to enjoy it. No matter what, I'm going to enjoy it. I want you guys to enjoy it with me, you know? So likes, comments, tell me what you guys are really wanting to look forward to. Tell me what questions that you may or may not have. If you have questions that you want me to address on the stream, just put them all down in the comments. I definitely want to see what you guys have to say. And thank you again for coming in. You guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.